Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio.
Students, myself Prabhjit Kaur, lecturer Biology at Government Girls Senior Secondary School, Maur, Mandi. It's my pleasure, students, to talk to you. Today we will be discussing a topic from human reproduction of class 12th, and the name of the topic is menstrual cycle. Now first I'd like to tell what a menstrual cycle is. Actually, the rhythmic series of changes that occur in the reproductive organs of female primates. Primates means monkeys, apes, human beings, and it's known to be as a menstrual cycle. And it's repeated at an average interval of about 28 to 29 days. And the first appearance of the menstruation at puberty is called menarche. And this, you might know, that the menstrual cycle has 4 phases. These are, first one is the menstrual phase. Here the changes what occur in this phase are the soft tissue of endometrial lining of the uterus disintegrates, causes bleeding. Here the unfertilized egg and the soft tissues are discharged, and it only lasts for 3 to 5 days. And second phase, now we are coming to the second phase as the follicular phase or proliferative phase. Here the primary follicles in the ovary grow and become a fully mature as Graafian follicle. Now the endometrium lining of the uterus is regenerated again due to the secretion of LH and FSH. These are the hormones, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormones, from anterior pituitary and ovarian hormone estrogen. And this stage lasts for 10 to 14 days. Then comes the third stage as the ovulatory phase. Now rapid secretion of LH means luteinizing hormone. It induces rupture of Graafian follicle. So Graafian follicle thereby leading to the ovulation, means there is the release of ovum. This stage lasts for only about 48 hours. Now fourth stage, that is the luteal phase or secretory phase. In this phase, the ruptured follicle changes. Jada follicle tut janda hai, it changes into corpus luteum in the ovary and it begins to secrete the hormone progesterone. Only it is at this stage that the hormone progesterone is secreted. Now the endometrium thickens further and the glands secrete a fluid into the uterus. If ovum is not fertilized, the corpus luteum, it undergoes degeneration, and this causes disintegration of the endometrium, leading to menstruation. Now estrogen and progesterone levels, they rise during this phase, and it lasts for only 1 day. Now, you must know that during pregnancy, all the events of the menstrual cycle stop and there is no menstruation, and the menstrual cycle permanently stops in the females at the age of around 50 years, and this is called menopause. So you must know what is menarche, that is the early starting of the menstruation, and the closing of stopping of this menstruation is known as menopause, that occurs at the age of around 50 years. Next comes the fertilization. Now the process of fusion of the sperm with an ovum. Now here the sperm is a male gamete and the ovum is a female gamete, and it's called as the fertilization. And during coitus, here the semen is released by the penis into the vagina, and this process is known to be as insemination. And the sperms, which are motile, they swim rapidly through the cervix, enter into the uterus and reach the ampullary ischemic junction of the oviduct. Now a sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucidea layer of the ovum and induces the changes in the membrane or block the entry of the additional sperms. Now the enzymes of the acrosome of the sperm means that is the top part of the sperm that is known as acrosome. Here the enzymes of the acrosome of the sperm, they help to dissolve zona pellucidea and plasma membrane of the ovum, and sperm head is allowed to enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum, that is a secondary oocyte. Ultimately, diploid zygote is produced by the fusion of a sperm and an ovum. Next topic is implantation. Zygote divides rapidly. Now here the zygote is formed and it divides rapidly by the meiotic division, and this process is known to be as cleavage. As a result, when one cleavage occurs, 2 cells, then again division, 4 cells, 8 cells, 16 cells, daughter cells are produced, which are termed as blastomeres. Now embryo with the 8 to 16 blastomeres is called morula. Here the morula changes into a large mass of cells called blastocyst, which passes further into the uterus. Now blastomeres in the blastocyst, they are arranged into an outer layer called the trophoblast, and the inner group of cells attached to trophoblast, these are known to as the inner cell mass. Now the trophoblast layer gets attached to the cells of the endometrium, and the inner cell mass gives rise to the embryo. Now cells of the endometrium divide rapidly and cover the blastocyst. So the blastocyst gets embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, and this process is known as the implantation, which leads to pregnancy. Now we will discuss regarding pregnancy and the embryonic development. The cells of the trophoblast differentiate into the inner layer and outer layer. The outer layer is called chorion and forms a chorionic villi, which are finger-like projections that grow into the endometrium. Now an intimate connection is established between the chorionic villi and the uterine tissue and form a structural and the functional unit between the developing embryo and the maternal body called the placenta. Now what are the functions of placenta? It provides nutrients and oxygen to the developing embryo, removes carbon dioxide and waste materials from the embryo, acts as an endocrine tissue and produces several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin (HCG) and human placental lactogen (HPL), estrogens, progesterones, which are essential to maintain the pregnancy. An umbilical cord connects placenta with the embryo that helps in the transport of substances to and from the embryo. Now, regarding the inner cell mass of blastocyst, that develops into 3 layers. The outer layer is ectoderm, inner layer is endoderm, and the middle layer that is known to be as mesoderm. Now the inner cell mass contains certain cells called stem cells that have the potency to give rise to all the tissues and the organs. After 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed, and by the end of the 2nd month of pregnancy, the fetus develops limbs and digits. By the end of 3rd month, most of the organ systems are formed. Now appearance of hair on the head and fetus movement is observed during 5th month. After 6 months, the body is covered with fine hair, eyelids separate, and eyelashes are also formed. By the end of the 9th month of pregnancy, the fetus is completely developed and is ready for its delivery. Now the next topic is parturition. Now the average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, and which is called the gestation period. And the act of expelling the full-term fetus from the mother's uterus at the end of gestation period is called parturition, and it is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. And parturition signals originate from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induce mild uterine contractions called the fetal ejection reflex. So there the fetal ejection reflex is occurring. Now this triggers the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. Now oxytocin, this hormone, it induces stronger uterine muscle contractions, which lead to expulsion of the baby from the uterus through the birth canal. Next topic is lactation. Mammary glands of the female undergo differentiation and start producing milk at the end of pregnancy, and this is called lactation. This helps the mother in feeding the newborn, and the milk that comes out of the mammary glands during the initial days of lactation is called colostrum, which is very essential because it contains several antibodies and nutrients for the baby. That's why the breastfeeding is recommended by the doctors for bringing up a healthy baby. Thank you. So this was all about the topics that we have today discussed regarding menstrual cycle. Then comes implantation, fertilization, implantation, then pregnancy and embryonic development, and the last, parturition and lactation. These topics that we have discussed, these are quite important in this lesson. And after that, you are able to answer the questions, some of the questions. What is menstrual cycle? What is menarche? What is menstrual phase? What is proliferative or follicular phase? What is fertilization? What is menopause? What is implantation? And what are the functions of placenta? What is gestation period and parturition? And what is lactation? Menstrual cycle, we will discuss the answers as well. Menstrual cycle is the rhythmic series of changes that occur in the reproductive organs of female primates is called menstrual cycle. And what is menarche? The first appearance of menstruation at puberty is called menarche. Now, what are the steps in the menstrual phase? Here, the soft tissue of the endometrial lining of the uterus disintegrates, causes bleeding. The unfertilized egg and the soft tissues are discharged and last for 3 to 5 days. Then in the follicular phase, the primary follicles in the ovary grow and become a fully mature Graafian follicle. The endometrium of the uterus is regenerated due to secretion of LH and FSH, and it lasts for 10 to 14 days. Then what is menopause? The menstrual cycle permanently stops in the female at the age of around 50 years, and this is called menopause. What is fertilization? The process of fusion of a sperm, that's a male gamete, with an ovum, female gamete, is known to be as fertilization. What is implantation? When the blastocyst gets embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, this is called implantation and it leads to pregnancy. What are the functions of placenta? It provides nutrients and oxygen to the developing embryo, removes carbon dioxide and waste materials from the embryo, acts as endocrine tissue and produces several hormones like human chorionic gonadotrophin, human placental lactogen, estrogens, progesterones, which are essential to maintain the pregnancy. Then what is gestation period? The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months and it is called as a gestation period. What is parturition? The act of expelling the full-term fetus from the mother's uterus at the end of gestation period is called parturition. What is lactation? Mammary glands of the female, they undergo differentiation and start producing milk at the end of pregnancy. This is called lactation. Now again, one important question more, that is, what is colostrum? The milk that comes out of mammary glands during initial days of lactation is called colostrum. And this colostrum is very much important, very much essential to the feeding baby, to the babies, because it contains several antibodies and nutrients for the baby. Also, one important question more. What are the layers of the blastocyst? These are blastocysts made up of 3 layers. Outermost layer, ectoderm. Inner layer is endoderm, and the middle layer is called mesoderm. So with these questions, we complete the topic of today, that is the menstrual cycle, fertilization, implantation, pregnancy and embryonic development, and parturition, as well as lactation. And now at the end of this lecture, you are able to answer these topics as well. Okay, thank you, beta.
Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio, Doaba Radio.